Hey, it's me, the Quenchies. I'm that late afternoon craving you just can't shake. Wait, what's that? Welch's Grape Aid? No! Made with real fruit and no added sugar, nothing answers the call of the Quenchies like Grape Aid. Got the Quenchies? Grab a Grape Aid in your juice aisle.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Komm du noch?
If you've heard that sound from Babbel before, I bet you do. Babbel is the science-backed language learning app that actually works. With quick 10-minute lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts, Babbel gets you on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. With over 16 million subscriptions sold and a 20-day money-back guarantee, just start speaking another language with Babbel. Right now, up to 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Spotify podcast. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify podcast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome back to What's Up Waco, the podcast that loves to introduce you to the people, the places, and the properties that make Waco an excellent community to live. Hey everybody, welcome back to What's Up Waco. Today we have Amy Morency, owner of Untamed Hope. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here today.
No, thank you for coming in. We've been trying to get this worked out schedule-wise and everybody feeling good.
So true.
Fall in Texas. You got to love it. So
Yes.
Thank you. So Untamed Hope, we will get to.
Okay.
But first I want to introduce people to you, Amy.
Okay.
Because you have one of those jobs, or had one of those jobs, that like I think every kid who ever read Curious George or had a love of animals
Right.
wanted. You're
Yeah.
you're a zookeeper.
Yeah. And I do find that a lot, that reaction of like, oh my gosh, you've got the best job.
Right.
And if, someone was really interested, I'd be like, hey, you want to know what most of my job involves doing? Do you like shoveling poop?
I was going to say, I'm guessing
'Cause
shoveling poop.
It's cleaning. It's cleaning. But the other, 5% is
They're
it's so
producers
worth it.
then,
It's
huh?
so yeah.
Sorry, it's
There's-
worth it.
There's a lot of cleaning.
Mm.
But yeah, it is worth it. You find your animal or your species or your organization, your zoo facility, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And for me, it was connecting with the animals. I
Very
always
cool.
thought I was going to be a large cat caretaker, and I spent some time with some tigers and lions, and I'm actually allergic to cats.
No.
And I
Is
was
that the same?
and I was like, it won't be the same. Oh yeah, it is,
Oh,
and
it
on
is.
steroids. So
Oh, well,
because
yeah.
you have to imagine the
I
size.
mean, if
the
dander
size of-
is like itty bitty on a little kitty, I don't even want to know.
I did build up an immunity over time, but cats just have a certain personality, and
Okay, yes.
I mean, I love everything. I really do. Not
Mhm.
to, I never tell the animals I have favorites, even though I secretly do. But when I started working with the great apes and the monkeys,
Okay.
that is where I found my real connection and calling
Okay.
for these animals that honestly, they're one of the most challenging species to work with.
Really?
I mean, they're so close to us. They really are. They
Oh,
have personalities.
yeah.
They're stubborn.
Okay.
They will trick you. They don't trust you right away. Like, I mean, there's a lot of factors, and I just love building a relationship with those animals. I mean, it can get so strong, the grooming that takes place, and just
Okay.
the certain practices that you can eventually
like
develop.
they might let you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just a relationship that grows and gets nurtured. And, everyone has their species. There's bird people and there's the cat
Sure.
people. And I love them all, and I've worked with them all. So I've got to experience how different they all are to each other.
That's
But
crazy.
I'm the crazy primate lady.
No, not at all. I think that's really cool. I mean, who was the very famous sign language? Coco?
Coco the gorilla.
Coco the gorilla,
yes,
right?
And Penny, yes. And
Yeah.
I remember falling in love with her when I was a
Yes.
kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
She could sign, and she
Yes.
loved a kitty cat. Like, how
she
do you
did.
not?
Smokey. Yeah. She named her own cat. And oh
I
my gosh.
mean,
Yes.
come on.
I know. Yeah.
It's amazing to think that it's almost just a language barrier.
Yeah. And
they have needs and wants and
absolutely.
thoughts.
They're just like us.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is so neat. Because my dogs are not. They're very like, boom, it is all what they need is right there on their face at all times, right? It's
Yeah.
just, you do develop but it's kind of like a blind loyalty that you don't really have.
Well, and the animals that I have worked with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of their backgrounds, they have traumatic pasts. They have had some really challenging starts in life.
Okay.
I worked with some chimps at a zoo that were ex-lab chimps.
Ooh.
And you can imagine what they had to endure for years, day after day, being tested on. And I just fell in love with them more. Just like, I am here for you. I am going to be your voice. And this is just my purpose in life.
love that.
So,
yeah, out of the lab and out of the fire and into some comfort. And
right.
somebody
But
who's
even,
actually not trying to hurt them.
Right. And even then, though, like, they don't know that.
No,
You
not at
know,
first,
like,
right? They're just
a
waiting.
a new place, and they're, you know.
What are you going to do to me?
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
how
you've
long
got-
does that take for them to just be like, all right.
It depends on the individual,
Mm.
you know. And then within a troop, you've got the hierarchy of, you know, the alpha male, female, and then you've got the totem pole. And then even within the troop, you have the different personalities and trust barriers, and they have different roles to play.
Mhm.
So
If you swing the alpha your way, is that easier to get everybody else to come along?
It does help.
I
Yeah.
bet that's the hardest
And,
one to swing, though.
You know, it depends.
Okay.
It depends. There was two of us, two keepers
Okay.
that took care of this particular troop of chimps, and we let them choose who they wanted to work with and be their caretaker. It was just easier that way. It happened very organically.
That's very cool.
And so it split right down the middle. Half chose
Really?
the other keeper and half chose me.
Well,
Yeah.
that works out.
And it worked out great. And she had the alpha female and I had the alpha male.
Oh, interesting. But you each got an alpha.
We did.
Huh.
They split up. Yeah.
That's
Not that they
interesting.
wouldn't work for the other caretaker, but
Sure.
you can tell they had a preference and someone that they just connected with better. And it worked for us too. We're like, we really like our group. Yeah, I
This
really
is-
like my group.
Right.
Like, yeah. Keep
Well,
your
that's
group.
how it worked
Yeah.
out, right?
Yeah.
They knew.
It's just clicking with, you know,
Mhm.
anyone else. You just, you know, might connect a little bit better with some than others.
I just love that perspective and the connection and seeing how they are their own individual
Yes, absolutely.
individuals.
Yes.
That's neat. So zookeeping, I read, took you all across the country, or did you stay in a particular area?
I didn't. I moved around. I've
Oh,
moved
okay,
around
I
a
thought
lot,
so.
and I'm done now.
And I'm
Texas is
Over it.
we are rooted here. But yeah, I started off in Colorado Springs
Okay.
at Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. That was
Are
my
you
first
from
zoo.
the Springs, or was that your 1st
I'm
job?
not. That was
Okay.
my first zoo job.
Very
I'm
cool.
originally from California.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
okay.
born and raised.
This is a safe space.
It's okay.
You can be from California here. It's okay. We are also. I moved here from California too,
You did.
but I was born in Denver. So
Okay.
um,
Nice.
yeah. So what part of California? Just real quick.
Sacramento.
Okay, so Northern California. So, people be even nicer to her because really the stereotypical Californian that you hate, they're from Southern California.
I haven't
Just
been there
FYI.
in a long time, everyone. Very long time.
It's okay. Like, again, safe space. And also Southern Californians who heard me say that, that's where I'm from, so calm down. They hate us the most. It's okay. Very cool. Okay, so you started out in Colorado Springs,
Mhm.
and then where'd you bounce from? Like, do you want to just highlight the states you've lived in, or?
I mean, as far as zoos,
Yeah.
I worked at the Hutchinson Zoo in Kansas and the
gosh.
Chattanooga Zoo in Tennessee.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
really have hit like boop, boop,
I
boop.
have. And, all were great experiences.
Mhm.
I got to work with different species of animals, which, made me a very well-rounded caretaker.
Mhm.
Because sometimes you luck out and you just find your one animal and like, I've been working with elephants
whole
for
career.
30 years.
Sure.
And, I got a taste of everything because I moved around and, each facility has different animals.
Mhm.
So that was great for a learning.
Well, and you also, I
perspective.
was going to say, and you also got to see how each facility ran to
And
an
that
extent,
was very
right?
different. That was very different. Cheyenne Mountain Zoo is one of my favorites.
Okay.
And, not every zoo operates at the level of a zoo like that. So I
Sure.
got to see the other side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've seen just an
I've seen
amazing,
amazing
well-run facility
And not
and
so great.
things that can be better.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yep.
So, but all of that lends very well to what you're doing here in Waco,
Yes. Yes.
which again, I'm going to wait because that leads to another question. Why Waco? Like how'd that come about?
Because I've lived in like 7 different states.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay, no, not that place, because the animals that I want, number one, they are from a warmer climate.
Okay.
I do plan on having primates at my facility.
Okay, so more tropical,
so more
warm,
the tropical
humidity.
exactly.
Okay.
And so weather-wise, it's actually pretty decent here. And also, for me personally, I am done working in the snow and the ice. I am done.
You don't want to shovel it or drive in it?
I do not.
Yeah, no,
I do not want to
blame you.
carry buckets of water and break through ice every day.
Ugh.
I do not want to do that.
That's so weird.
So that was, personal, selfish reasons. But
Oh, no. That's pragmatic. Those are the reasons we had for Texas versus Colorado, too. It's absolutely pragmatic. I don't want different wardrobes every year for
my
every kid.
gosh.
I don't
And
want
they're so
shoveling.
heavy. Oh, I'm like way down with my gear because I have to work outside all day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, now you're in 110 degree weather.
I love it.
Do you notice it?
a little.
Okay. Yeah. It's weird. I think you just get I think by our third summer here, I was acclimated.
Okay.
And then we have horses and like six cattle.
You do.
And so
I have to visit your place.
Okay. It is not as clean. So prepare yourself. We're a little busy. But being out every day
Yeah.
in the heat, you don't really notice it anymore.
Yeah.
You're
You
kind of
get
like, I'm
used
a
to
little
it.
sweatier today.
Yeah.
Eh.
Yep.
So that's
doesn't
really
really-
neat. I can see. Okay. So I see the why Texas. And then what about Central Texas? Was there anything specific about Waco that brought you here? Or was it just, hey, let's check it out?
I am familiar with Austin.
Okay.
My sister lived there for 20 years
Oh,
and I
cool.
visit her often. So I love Austin. But since it's blown up and very populated, very bigger city than what I'm used to in the past,
It's huge now.
I was
Yeah.
like, I can't have my refuge. I can't
Oh,
be
gosh,
inside.
Where would you find land there?
Exactly. That was
Yeah.
my issue. So I'm just like, my sister's like, you need to look at Waco.
Yeah.
She was the one who, recommended it. And so
Smart
my husband and
sister.
I know she's good sometimes.
Good job, sister.
And so my husband and I came out here last November
Mhm.
and just spent an extended weekend checking things out. And we immediately just loved the feel of this city. It's the right size. We love everything with Magnolia and the weather. And we moved, from Oregon. So we're like, we miss the sun. We love the sun.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And as far as Untamed Hope, people have been so welcoming. Like it's so nice. I'm thrilled. We're thrilled to be here.
That's so odd. Well, since you teed that up for me, let's go. Let's talk about Untamed Hope. So you have this zookeeper background,
Yep.
different species, different facilities. You're well-rounded. And here you are opening an animal sanctuary in the heart of Texas.
Well,
How's that going?
building. Yes.
Building.
So it's very early. I didn't start this until a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Got the 501c3 status, nonprofit, build a website, build a board of directors, and get an official organization going. So we're in the fundraising,
okay.
process, which is long and tedious.
Yes,
but
it is.
It's necessary. The planning that needs to go into this because I want to do it right. I do not want to skip steps and get myself in a situation where it's like, oh, I don't know if I can take care of these animals past this year, or
Okay.
I want to plan. I want to grow. Baby steps.
Sure.
We need to be smart about this. I don't want to get caught where maybe that ice storm happens again, and like, what am I going to do? And I've been in, I've moved around. I swear I've caught every freak 1 out of the 100 years climate thing that has happened. Ice storm in Oregon, another ice storm in Missouri, and just all
gosh.
these things, a fire in Oregon. We had ash falling from the sky
Ugh.
for days. And
Yeah.
I know, it was
People
awful.
don't realize that it just continues for so long. Like
Yeah.
the wildfire season is crazy. I don't even know if that's what it was, but the wildfire season is crazy.
It was. So I
Okay.
really want to take my time.
That was
and
all
build
building your
something.
knowledge
Yeah.
of what to do, right? So, I mean, I'm sorry you had to live through all these once in a
Oh,
lifetime
it's fine.
things, but now you have that knowledge to pull from, and,
Yeah.
and it'll help with your planning because now you're like, I'm gonna need a generator, I'm gonna
Yep.
need these kind of hoses and this kind of water truck or whatever. I don't know.
And I have friends in other places. I have friends that are in Florida, and it's like what you have to do to prepare for the hurricanes. And if
Pray.
you prioritize the well-being of these animals that are in your care,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be responsible about it and make sure that you can take care of them properly, you have to do this planning. Like,
Yeah.
you can't be caught in a situation where you don't have a plan.
No, I don't even like to go blanket I'm just saying, it's cold. I don't like to, like, my fingers feel like they're going to fall off when I'm blanketing my horses and it's 20 degrees out. I can't imagine having to, and those are horses. They just stand there. So I can't imagine having to deal with a bunch of different species, a bunch of different habitats, or I don't know what it's called.
So
Correct me. They're
it
little living
depends
space.
on, what facility it is. So
Okay.
like in a zoo, it would be an enclosure.
Okay.
I'm using the word habitat because we're
okay.
not a zoo. So
That's okay. So I
habitat, you
used
got
the
it.
right
You
word.
got it.
I feel very smart right now. Okay. So that would be that. Yeah. Without a plan in place.
Yeah. And then
Oh
not
my
to
gosh.
mention, it's not like I'm having farm animals that, if they escaped, the worst
Your
they would
neighbor
do
down
is
the
eat
street
your
could be like,
flowers.
"Hey." Oh, yeah,
yeah. These are dangerous animals
Yeah.
and have the ability to, make some damage.
So how do you, now my brain is like, okay, so because I know if a cow got out, our neighbor would be like, hey, we pushing back over your fence. You might want to check it.
Right.
But what do you do if a primate gets out? Like,
I mean, that's
nope,
a
that's just
great,
gonna scare everybody.
it's a great question. And, that's why working at zoos, like I've learned the emergency plans that are in place.
Yeah.
So,
That's neat.
number one, you have a well-built enclosure.
Yeah.
You have
Gates upon
durable,
gates upon gates.
barriers, second
Mhm.
barriers. You have protocols in place to make sure everything is locked and contained.
Yes.
If for some freak reason something happens, there is a protocol, and it usually involves, a tranquilizer gun and, a dart team.
I mean,
And not to mention, there's usually, again, barrier within barrier. You have a barrier around the facility itself that
Mhm.
would help contain.
yeah.
So,
But I'm just the logistics of all of that. And then what if they got into another animal's habitat and then you've got species versus, I mean, there's
Absolutely.
just so much.
There's
so
so
how
much.
would you not? Yeah. I can't imagine the planning
Well,
that goes into this.
and then the other factor,
Hmm.
which I think this is getting more implemented and prioritized more, is the behavioral training of
Okay.
these animals. So they can be recalled just like any animal.
Really?
And I can't for the life of me. I'm going to have to look it up. There was a zoo where a chimp did escape. They had taken a fallen log and put it, catty corner to the building and somehow, crawled out.
Smart.
And they were trained to recall
Okay.
for Snickers bars.
I would recall for a Snickers
I
bar.
would too. So,
That is
you
hilarious.
just find what works. You find what works and, also make sure it's positive. Like, we do not want to have to dart these animals.
Right,
That
that's
is
last
traumatizing.
resort.
That is the last resort.
I think that's traumatizing for you too. For
I-
both,
no
right?
one
The
likes
animal
to
and the
do it.
human. Nobody
No one
likes to.
I mean, you have it in place just because, you have to
yeah.
safety first.
Yeah.
But, if you do practice the recall and you find that reinforcer that animal will come back for,
Snickers.
you can get back into safety. You can get them back.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that you could train them like you could train a dog because they're so domesticated.
It's the same concept though.
That's so
yeah,
cool.
it really is. And that has been more of my training with my mentor, Steve Martin, the trainer, not the actor.
I'm sorry, but that's immediately when I'm like, comedian.
I know. No, he's the one. He has a facility in Winter Haven, Florida.
Ooh.
And he's known as the bird guy, but
Ah.
he's very big in the zoo world. He's done amazing things for animal welfare. But he has hundreds of macaws at
Mhm.
his facility, and he's actually in charge of
Hundreds.
the bird show at Disney World.
Oh, cool.
So if you know about, Disney World, and they have this large tree where all these free-flighted birds fly to and then recall back.
Mm-hmm.
Those are his
That's
birds.
him?
That's him.
Wow.
So I train under him.
Oh, I can't even get my lab to answer me.
Oh, it happens. It happens. And every once in a while there might be a bird that decides to go off, but maybe one out of 200.
My gosh.
And that's what he's known for, free-flighted birds that you train them in such a positive, empowering way. They want to come back to you.
They're like, I
They
choose to come
choose
back.
to come back to you.
Okay.
That's
Well,
the
that's
difference.
very smart.
Yes.
It's not like you get over here right
No,
now,
not
buddy.
at all.
It's
Not
like
at all.
ooh.
Yeah,
I have a
that's
Snickers
the
bar for
change.
you.
I promise I'll make it worth your while. Yeah.
It'll be worth it. Just listen.
Yep.
Okay, so now I have to be kind of pragmatic and think about the logistics of opening a sanctuary in a populated area. Have you had any like red tape that's come up or petitions that needed or anything?
Because we're, still in the fundraising phase. No.
Okay.
I'm looking outside city limits. Nothing will be inside city limits. So I'm looking in Bosque County for land.
Oh, okay.
Clifton, Valley Mills type area. But I'm not, heavily focused because, like I said, we're still fundraising. So we've got some time before we get to the right number. But, I'll need permits, USDA, inspections, and I plan eventually to get GFAS accredited, which is accreditation for sanctuaries. Okay. So zoos have an AZA accreditation. Cameron Park Zoo is AZA accredited. Yep. And it's just, an organization that helps keep the standard of care at a specific level, because without those regulatory bodies, there's no way to, manage how well are you doing your job. And unfortunately in the sanctuary world, it's even harder.
Less.
Yeah.
Is that where we end up with Tiger Kings?
Yes. Yes, it is. And, I volunteered at some places, volunteered my time and try to offer my services. And I've seen firsthand, unfortunately, I don't think anyone does this intentionally. I do think that, trying to educate them and help them get on the better track of taking better care of these animals is what everyone is trying to do and leaning towards doing. But I think there also is this old way of thinking, well, they're alive. That's all that matters.
So I've done my job.
I've done my job. It's done. And it's not, like what kind of life is that for them just to live in a concrete, 6x6 space?
I think that's one of the things I really liked about one of your interviews, that you emphasize that you want them to be thriving.
Yes, not just surviving, but thriving. Absolutely. So the physical health is important, but emotional and mental health is just as important to me for them, especially with species like primates.
Right.
Especially. They grieve, they feel, they love, they feel loss and pain, and they deserve to be treated better.
Oh, I love that. So what made you want to build a sanctuary?
Well, I'd been in the zoo world, for a long time, and I'm getting older. And, it's a hard job being a zookeeper.
I'll bet.
It's not easy.
No.
Not that my, running a sanctuary is going to be any easier.
That'll be a cakewalk. No biggie.
But, I guess I just evolved out of the zookeeping phase. And honestly, what kicked off Untamed Hope was losing my Jack Russell Charlie.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. So she passed away very tragically, very suddenly 2 years ago.
Oh.
And I was very lost without her. I didn't know what to do with my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm
She was,
sorry.
thank you. She is my soulmate.
Oh.
I don't know how else to explain it. My husband doesn't take offense. I'm just like, she
was it. Yeah.
She was it. I got her as a young adult, and just that particular time in my life, I just needed her and she needed me. She was dropped off in a box on Halloween outside the Humane Society in the Springs.
Oh gosh.
And, we just found each other, and that was it. The rest was history.
Oh.
She had one solid black ear.
Aw.
I know.
Cute.
So, but losing her made me just rethink my entire life. Like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
And it was my husband's idea. He comes up with all these great ideas. Why don't you just, start your own wildlife refuge? You love animals. You want them around you all the time. I know you're kind of done with working in a zoo. So I'm just like, well, okay. Nice. I'll do this. Like, I needed to do something really big and really impactful. I didn't want to just go back to whatever I was doing before. I don't know what I was doing before.
You know that.
But I needed a change, and it needed to be a big change.
This
so
is
I
big.
thought, I am going to make my life's purpose about these animals that are hard to work with because they've had traumatic backgrounds. They need someone who's experienced to train with them, work with them, understand them, have patience with them. Because, you know, a lot of times these animals, they come through the pet trade. You know, they've been locked in someone's basement for a few years. They get too big. What do you do with them now? It's a terrible situation. And the zoos can't take these animals half the time. They do everything they can, but they don't have the space. And these animals usually have a lot of behavioral issues.
I was going to ask, that must be hard to
they can't
take them in with other animals
and
who
you
are
can't
already...
integrate them to the other. It just doesn't happen. So they need somewhere to go.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do, is create a place for them.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
And so we got to focus on the money.
Unfortunately, yes.
I mean, that is the ugly reality of all the things, right?
It is.
So we're hoping that somebody out there is listening,
yes,
and just has super deep pockets and a big heart for animals. And this isn't really the direction I thought this podcast was going to go. I thought we were just talk about, you know, the sanctuary and animals that need rescue and your heart for it. But I think you're not the only person who has a heart for animals like that. And there are people out there that, hey, you know, we'll have all the ways to contact you in the show notes. And so, you know, reach out to Amy and let's see what we can do to make this happen, because you've got to have staff. You've got to be able to feed them. You've got to have generators and water sources and enclosures and all the things. And that does take a decent amount of money. Do you have fundraiser, like on-site fundraisers, or what's in the works right now?
So at this point, you know, I'm an animal trainer by trade, so I offer, you know, consulting services for, you know, I can train just about any animal. So I can train, and I'm also a yoga teacher.
Oh, fun.
You know, before my life as a zookeeper, I was a ballet dancer. And so, you know, after I turned 30, my body hated me for everything I did to it when I was younger.
You're feeling it now.
Yes. So I found yoga, and that's been a part of my life for a long time now. So right now I'm actually got a yoga workshop at WRS Athletic Club.
Oh, yeah.
Everything I do goes towards Untamed Hope. All my yoga teaching, workshops, all my animal training, everything I do goes back to Untamed Hope.
Neat.
So I would love to do something on a bigger level. Still so new to the city. I don't even know what that would look like. But yeah, those are the skills that I have to offer, rather than just, you know, ask for money and give nothing. I try to give something.
Right. But sometimes I think that's probably the hurdle you're going to have to cross, is that at some point it's got to get...
And we've looked into grants, and you know, we're just, unfortunately at this point, we're a little too new to really qualify for those grants. A lot of grants, they want to help you build a building or, you know, get you set up for water and electricity. But
once you have the
land acquisition, this is I think going to be our biggest hurdle.
Okay. Well, Bosque County definitely has some to spare.
Yes.
So
hopefully we can get some donors out there that care about, you know, bringing this to Waco. And I've heard from a lot of people, we need this in Waco. You know, there are some things, you know, further north and further south, but this could be a really important hub for other people to feel like they don't have to travel, you know, large distances, and we can have a facility here.
And is this something you would have open to the public?
It wouldn't be open to the public, but there would be guided tours. Yes. And
so not like a buy your ticket and walk on through, but you can come meet the animals in a very structured way.
Exactly.
Oh, that's smart.
Yes.
And that's great, because you're introducing it differently. It's saying, because that's the difference between this and like a zoo. Not that zoo animals aren't possibly dealing with other things, but these animals that you're taking in definitely are. Yes.
And that, you know, sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't, but you might, you know, go to a zoo and be like, that animal is not looking really happy over there. It's pacing, it's doing all these stereotypical behaviors. That animal, you know, maybe some changes with their training and enrichment could help them in that setting. But a lot of times they just don't belong in that setting. They do not belong on display.
Yeah.
They're not going to be happy and living their best lives. So that's where, again, the refuge would provide that different setting for these animals that need more of that peace and quiet, not have to be shifted out at 9 a.m. every day and shifted in every night at 5.
That's a hard, yeah. I would,
But, some animals, they don't mind, They were
Well, I mean,
hand reared. They're fine.
some people don't care.
Well,
Some people are like, I don't care. This is my life. Watch it unfold. And some people are like, oh my gosh, leave me alone.
I've always had a soft spot for the misfits, though, like the troubled souls. Like, that's what I just attract to. I don't know. But
no, that's great. And I love the name Untamed Hope. It encompasses everything that you're trying to get to, right?
Yeah.
And you haven't once said anything about wanting to tame or make them do anything or be a certain way. You're just trying to give them a place where they can live and thrive.
Yes.
And so that's amazing. That is amazing.
Thank you.
I think there's some really cool things coming in the future for you. This is just,
I hope so.
I think you're going to get some people behind you.
Thank you.
Unexpectedly.
I hope so.
There's
really
just
do.
too many animal lovers out there. And you're providing a sanctuary. You're providing a place for rescue and respite. And, that is commendable.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll get some people involved and see what's going on out there. So if you're listening, all 5 of you, tell your animal-loving friends also that Untamed Hope is on the horizon, and she just needs a little bit of love and help and guidance and, green guidance would be especially helpful at this juncture.
Yes.
Land is plentiful in Bosque County, but it's not cheap.
No.
In Bosque
it's
County.
It's
not. Or any surrounding county anymore. So
right.
I can see the need.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. What else? How do we connect with you? What's the best way to follow Untamed Hope or connect with you, Amy?
We're on social media.
Mm-hmm.
We have a website, untamedhope.org. It has all our social buttons on the website to follow us, and my email's on there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best way.
All right. Well, we'll have
website.
all that in our show notes. I'll have your website link there too.
Perfect.
And is there anything we've missed about Untamed Hope, your plan for getting there?
I don't think so.
You think we got it all?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Well, very cool. Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And if you're wondering what's going on in around town, just listen here because that's what's Up Waco.
Topic you want to talk about? Do you have questions about Waco, the real estate market, how to sell your house, what to look for when you're buying a home? Send me an email, ericasellstexas@gmail.com. Shoot me a text, 254-447-0180. Happy to chat about it. Find me anywhere you listen to your podcasts or at roguemedianetwork.com.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.